Thanks for joining me on episode 830 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Joe Shum from Soul Patch Hippo Success Coaching. I want to serve your journey to be the next version of you, to be inspired to become the most authentic you. Listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast by my friend Scott Mader, every day can help you keep the focus that you need.
See, it lets you balance your time, your focus, your money, and your energy when you step back and look at it from a bigger perspective. When you step back and look at it from the point of view of, what am I really doing here? What is the most important thing for me to doing? What should I be doing next? Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world. In today's episode about developing your influence through stewarding your treasures, I talk with you about how making more money often doesn't let you feel like you earn more. I share how many people don't see what making more can actually do for them. And I also share why this really matters to balance your time and your money and your energy. As we talk about stewarding your treasures, wouldn't it be great if you could support this podcast and do it without costing yourself an extra dime? Turns out you can. All you have to do is use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon when you're ready to make a purchase via Amazon, and a small commission will come back to support the show. If you enjoy the show when you're ready to buy from Amazon, just use inspiredstewardship.com/Amazon. One of those weird things that can happen as your income goes up, as you make more money, is you often will feel more strapped or poorer than you were before. You'll feel like all you have is money, but you're not actually able to spend it. This can happen a number of different ways. For one thing, as you make more, you're probably working more, not necessarily in clock hours, though oftentimes with overtime and other techniques like that, it does end up actually being time on the clock. But it also can just be in effort and energy. You're spending more effort and energy to make that money. And because of that, oftentimes we begin to feel like all we're doing is running faster and not really seeing any benefit from it. What's more, because as you make more money, oftentimes your lifestyle goes up. You hang out with different people and you're driven by that comparison and by that action to do other things. And as you do them, you spend more. And so even though you're making more, you may actually continue to overspend, to go into debt, and to do other things that make you feel like you're constantly catching up, like you're coming from behind. The truth is, making more money isn't necessarily a solution to all of your problems. Instead, oftentimes, as you continue to increase in earnings, you find yourself feeling like you're not making more at all. And the truth is, a lot of times it's because we have the same mindsets and beliefs that we had when we weren't making a ton of money. If we were constantly working to just spend whatever we made and do a little better today than tomorrow, we keep trying to do that. If we've been struggling with our money and controlling our spending, we continue to do that. If we've been seeing ourselves as somebody who doesn't get what we deserve and doesn't deserve it, we continue to do that. If we haven't had good skills around setting boundaries and controlling our time and being productive, we continue to do that. Money actually magnifies both your good and your bad traits. It makes you more able to be what you already are being. It, instead of changing you, it makes you more obvious what you really are. And because of that, we often don't step back and see how making more can change our choices, can give us flexibility and freedom that we didn't have before. See, the truth is, oftentimes our answer is always, I'm so busy. I do so much. I'm constantly struggling with my time and my energy and my focus because I'm running so busy. And because of that, I don't pay much attention to my money and I don't pay much attention to my time. And because of that, we don't actually find ways to improve it. A simple example. I know people who are doing exceedingly well financially, but they won't pay to have someone else mow their yard or get groceries for them or pick up their dry cleaning. They won't outsource certain tasks that they should be able to and are able to outsource. And they can afford to do this. They can afford to multiply their time by paying for someone else to do some of these activities. Now, it's one thing if you love mowing your yard and if that's a very relaxing activity for you, but it's another thing if that's just a drain on your time and energy. You can use that increase in money to actually buy time to do things that are better for you, either activities that help you make more money or activities that help you actually find ways and time to spend doing things that you enjoy. That's a simple example, but you don't see it if you're constantly struggling to just get by. If you allow yourself to have that limiting belief of how busy you are, and that's the only thing that you can do to continue to make the money that you're making. See, it lets you balance your time, your focus, your money, and your energy when you step back and look at it from a bigger perspective. When you step back and look at it from the point of view of what am I really doing here? What is the most important thing for me to doing? What should I be doing next so that my activity multiplies and continues to grow over time? What can I really do to balance my time, my money, my energy, my focus? But the truth is, what often happens is as our income comes up, because our time and energy continues to be spent, and because we continue to live out the old habits that we've always had, we don't actually step back and look at what we're doing objectively and think about it in a way that allows us to really grow and continue to do the things that we really want to do and use that money to be more and better than we were before, instead of just using the money to sit there and somehow or another, eventually it will get to do what we really want it to do. Money by itself is meaningless, but what money can help you do, that is powerful. Thanks for listening. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you like this episode on the stewardship of treasures, you can sign up for our treasures tips by going to inspiredstewardship.com/treasures or text in the US 44222 treasures tips. And we'll send you 5 weeks of our best tips on stewarding your treasures. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.